Hey, it's Jeff Zito, and thank you for checking out another episode of the Celebrity Jobber Podcast. We're streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you listen to podcasts. So please subscribe. We'd love a 5-star rating, and please leave a review. Check out past guests and episodes online at celebrityjobber.com. You can also follow on Instagram, which is celebrity_jobber_podcast, and the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/celebrityjobber. Before fame, who were these people? You know, sometimes it was a long grind and a series of events that got these people to where they are. And sometimes it was like a lucky break. You know, a phone call or just a single moment that changed their life forever. I love the Impractical Jokers. I've actually talked to all of them. And I spoke with James Murray, a.k.a. Murr, and Brian Quinn, Q. Did them both together back on episode number 74, if you wanted to go back and check that out, which you could do by going to celebrityjobber.com. It's such a great story of these four friends that got together in high school, screwed around, and ended up doing a dream job together. Like they were screwing around in high school and they're now screwing around as adults with their hidden camera show, which is now on its 15th season on TBS. On this episode, we'll get a little deeper into James Murray's life. We'll talk a little bit more about his family and dig a little deeper into some of the other jobs that he had before Impractical Jokers. He's doing stand-up comedy all over the country. Go to jamesmurrayofficial.com for more info and tour dates. And at my friend Captain Brian's place this weekend, the Off the Hook Comedy Club in Naples, Florida. His name is James Murray. You know him as Murr from Impractical Jokers, and he's my guest this week on Celebrity Jobber.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, give a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Check out all our past episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod. What if these celebrities weren't famous? What would they have become? What was their first job? We're about to find out.
Hey, it's Murr. How are you?
I'm just on your website a little bit, too, and I'm so glad I went to this website because I'm buying, as we speak, I'm buying the Murray Christmas sweatshirt. That's so great. That is so
That's
great.
Funny, man.
Great stuff. So we talked before about maybe 2 years ago, and you're back in Florida. You're at my friend Captain Brian's place, the Off the Hook Comedy Club in Naples. Great place.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, it's been a few years since I've been there. And it was when I first started my solo tour, I think my first weekend was at Off the Hook in Naples. And there were great audiences, great venue. I had it's a totally different show now than it was 3 years ago. But I'm so excited to come back. I'll tell you why I'm most excited to come back, because it's snowing and sleet rain here in Jersey right now. It's cold as hell.
Oh, man, you're on business. This is a business trip for you, Murr. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your old life, because, a lot of people don't realize there was a life before the Jokers.
There's been a lot of life on Earth before Jokers, but yeah, in my life in particular, yeah, I was before that I had every job on the planet, but my final job before Jokers was I was a TV developer. I was creating all TV shows for a living, and then before that I was unemployed for a long time. Before that I was, I think I juggled for a summer.
Now, is it true? I believe the last time we talked, you said to me that your mother always wanted you to be a podiatrist. Were you just kidding, or is that true?
Good memory. She had shell feet. She had terrible feet. She just wanted me to be a foot doctor to help rub her corn. So
that was, you weren't kidding. That's actually true. She really wanted you to be a podiatrist. Oh man,
she wound up eventually being proud of me when I finally made it, as they say.
I would imagine. Now, it's you seem like the brains of the operation, if you will. Like, I mean, I'm sure everybody plays a part in the success of Jokers, but tell me a little bit about you were just mentioning that you developed TV shows. That's what you did.
Yeah.
And how did what you did by developing TV shows help jokers actually land their spot?
Well, I had pitched and sold a lot of TV shows over 10 years. And then when the guys and I, I knew that Hidden Camera was coming back. And so the guys and I got together. It was like, I think I could sell a Hidden Camera show. So we came up with the idea for Jokers. And then I wrote the treatment and we pitched it through, I set the meetings through my job and went in, and that was that. And that was 15 years ago. And we're still going, man. New season starts January 15th. By the way, I'll tell you a funny story. So the new season starts January 15th on TBS. And the first episode is so funny, man. Like, Sal loses, and for a punishment, we made him go through a haunted house while on the phone with Spectrum Cable, trying to cancel his cable service. It is so funny.
Oh, man.
It's so funny.
Oh,
You
my
wet your
God.
pants.
I wanted to ask you, is there ever any type of punishment that you had? And I'm telling you, man, I just started getting back into the Wonder Years, so every time I see Winnie Cooper, I just crack up because of when you had to get all oiled up and interviewed her. But I'm thinking to myself, after all these years, you have to have some regrets. You've gotten tattoos. What can you tell me some of your biggest regrets from any of the punishments that you had to take from Jokers?
I mean, when I fly down to Naples tomorrow morning, my license still has no eyebrows on it, like, to this day. So I'm like a see something, say something, man. Like, every time I go to TSA security, I get triple checked because of my license,
Oh my God.
Coming up next season, the season finale next season, I lost the episode, and they made me be a videographer at a real wedding, a 300-person wedding in Jersey. But I was in full prosthetics, right? I did not look like myself. I had long blonde hair, blue eyes, different cheeks, different nose, different forehead. And at the end of so no one knew I was there. None of the 300 guests recognized me. Only the bride and groom knew that we were filming there. And at the end of the punishment, I had to back into and take down the whole wedding cake. And I got physically thrown out of the wedding by the guests. It was wild.
like Jersey meathead kind of guys throw you out, or what?
Oh, yeah. Thick accents, a lot of Aquanet, the whole thing.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. Celebrity Jobber.
It seems like to me, I want to get back to a lot of your other jobs because you were telling me you juggled for one. I thought that was interesting, but it seems to me that you were always maybe interested in show business from an early age, because even though you were behind the scenes, you were still involved in show business. So what was it that got you hooked, or made you, when you were a little kid, inspired you to get into show business?
I mean, I remember from childhood always loving to make people laugh. It was always my number one thing. And so, like, in high school, we had a really good comedy group that I was part of with the guys from Impractical Jokers, and had a lot of fun, and then did it in college as well. I just always wanted to make people laugh or cry in some way. So, like, I was really into, like, comedy and horror, which is why I write, like, thrillers. I've got 9 horror books in stores right now. 3 are serial killer thrillers. One's a sci-fi horror. One's a creature feature. 3 are kids sci-fi comedy. And the idea of that was I always wanted to make them into movies, which is why we actually have a horror movie coming out in a few months based on one of my books. I wrote a book a few years ago called Don't Move. It's like a creature feature kind of book and movie. And it just got turned into a movie. The movie's done. In the movie is Rob Riggle, T-Pain is in the movie.
Oh, wow.
Russ the Rapper in his debut lead role in a movie. Tom Cavanaugh. It's a great cast. It's very scary. It's also really funny too.
So, Murr, anybody in your life funny? Because it seemed like your mother and father and your whole family, you grew up in Staten Island, in a normal family. Like, nobody was in show business. They had, like, regular jobs. I think you said your dad, wore a suit and tie to work and was a professional. So like, who was funny in your family?
It's so funny, man. Like, we used to, growing up, my family would throw, like, a 4th of July party in our backyard in Staten Island, and all the guys, my guy friends would be in the pool playing volleyball, whatever. Meanwhile, all of our girlfriends were up around the bar hanging out with my dad. You know what I mean? Because he was the funniest guy you'll ever meet in your life, and he knew how to make a hell of a margarita. He was the only smart one out of all of us. You know what I mean?
So was the old man, though. He was the one with the sense of humor.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was a clown. He was a clown.
That's awesome, man. Party City, I believe you told me the last time I talked, was your very first job. That was with Joe Gatto. I thought that was an interesting first gig.
I got fired from Party City famously, and the reason was it was a summer job. And when I was Party City, the stores, they have like giant high shelves, right? They're like 12 feet high, and they stack on the top shelf. They stack boxes of Solo cups and stuff like that, right? And so, but the aisles are connected, so it doesn't go up to the ceiling. It goes like 3 feet before the ceiling. You put all your extra inventory up top. So I was on one aisle of Party City loading these giant boxes of red Solo cups on the top shelf, right? But I pushed too far and it fell down into the other aisle because they're connected, and it came down on a woman's head, and that was the end of my Party City career.
Oh no. Was she litigious? Did she file suit?
I assume she's dead now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I did not. I was 17. I did not follow up on her health.
Well, these days,
I assume I killed her.
You know what? Good thing though. Good thing, because back then, people weren't as litigious as they are now. They'll sue for anything nowadays. So could have been a godsend for you.
Could you imagine, like, you're a family member, like, oh, how did Grandma die? Oh, she got crushed by red Solo cups in Party City. What a way to go, man!
But don't worry, we got him in the end. We sued.
Yeah. Grandpa defeated Hitler, but then got taken down by red Solo cups.
So Party City was your first job when you were a kid. You said to me that you juggled one summer. What other kind of jobs did you have before you got into the Jokers?
Oh my God! I was a casting director. I lied my way into a job for 3 years at NBC.
Wow.
I went on an interview with NBC, and I was just out of college. They said, okay, we need somebody to build and maintain the Silent Live website and the Conan O'Brien website. Do you know how to do websites? And I lied through my teeth. I said, absolutely. I'm well-versed in HTML, JavaScript, the whole thing. And they said, great, you're hired. You start next Monday. I had no clue how to do it. I ran right to Barnes & Noble, picked up books on coding, and still didn't know how to do it. I faked the job for 3 years. I used to email Joe Gatto and say, hey, you want the Silent website to do this, can you write the code? He'd send me the code on email. I'd paste the website. I faked it for 3 years.
Oh, wow. Good for you. That's awesome. And that was before you could Google stuff. You actually had to go to Barnes & Noble and buy a book.
Absolutely. Amazon didn't exist yet. I'm talking 99, 98, 99,
That's crazy.
Celebrity Jobber. The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito.
I'm going through all your bio stuff, and one thing keeps popping up, and I'm like, whoa, this is interesting. I want you to share with me your love of model railroads. It seemed like you have been interested in this as a kid, and still to this day, I need to know a little bit about your love for model railroads.
The story's crazy. I can't wait to tell you. So I grew up with I grew up with trains my whole life. I had my best memories of my childhood. My dad and I building our train layout together, right? Anyways, my house is too small for my trains. They're sitting in the basement for decades now, But nearby, like 10 minutes away from my house here in Jersey, an article hits the Wall Street Journal last December about one of America's longest running, oldest nonprofit model railroad clubs. To put in perspective how big this club is, my house that I live in is not a big house. It's 4,600 square feet.
That's pretty big.
The Model Railroad Club is 12,000 square feet of track. It's unbelievable. It's professional. It's called Pacific Southern Railway. It's been running since 1950, right? Anyways, last year, the owner of the house died, sadly, from cancer, and the widow was forced to sell the house. And anybody that buys the house is going to be like, okay, you got to get your trains out of the basement. You can't have 12,000 square feet of the house. Get out, right? And the club is there all week long, playing with the trains, opening up to the public as a nonprofit. So the night before they were going to lose the house, my wife and I bought the house to save the train club. And so now I'm one of the board members of Pacific Southern Railway, one of America's longest running model railroad clubs. And so every year they do their holiday open house, right? Where they open up to the public can come in, see the trains, play with them, what have you. And usually in a typical year, they get 100, 150 people go through. It was last weekend. We had 1,500 people came through the house to see the trains and to meet Melissa and I, my wife and I.
Wow.
It was wild, man.
Well, but you had a love for this as a kid. You and your dad had some kind of model trains, right? So where did this all come from? Was your old man a fan of the trains?
I'll tell you what, to get real for a second, my father passed about 2 years ago from Alzheimer's. He'd suffered with it for many years, and it ended up taking my mom too. And to the day he died, if you put either a Frank Sinatra record on the record player, or put a Model Railroad magazine in his hand, or put the movie Naked Gun or Airplane on, his smile would instantly creep across his face.
Oh, wow.
He was right back to his old self to the day he died.
Oh,
It's that kind of thing. It forms core memories in families. It's just one of those things that's physical, tangible. It's real. It's not like social media. It's something existing in the real world you can do and master and learn and figure out. It's just the best core memories of childhood.
Right on, man. Very cool. I also read that early on, and I wanted you to maybe clear this up for me. Early on, you wrote a movie, and I didn't know anything about this, which is, again, kind of just cementing how you wanted to be in show business, your whole life. So you wrote a movie, but it says, I think it was on Wikipedia, where it said, rather than paying for a Ford Taurus, Murr's parents agreed to pay for production. So I figured there was a story in there somewhere. Tell me about this Ford Taurus and why your parents decided not to buy you that and to finance your movie.
I tell you what, I should have taken the damn Taurus. I really should, because the movie was. I graduated college. My dad says, "Congratulations! I'm going to buy you a cheapo used car. You could have whatever you want, like a $5,000 car, or whatever." I said, "No. Keep the money. I want to, for a graduate's gift, put it into me making a short film." And I did. And the movie was terrible. And I realized that I should not be a movie director. I knew my talents were elsewhere. And I think I punished myself for 20 years because I didn't own a car. I purposely was like, I don't deserve a car. And I bought my first car in life at 44 years old.
No way.
I did. Yeah, think about that. I have not owned a car ever in my life until 44 years old, almost as punishment for not passing up the Ford Taurus.
Wow. So we're talking like, Murr, we're talking about like just a few years ago, you bought your very first car.
Correct. I never owned a car in my life. I was punishing myself for how bad that movie was.
And it was like a retelling of the Bible, if you will.
Oh God, I don't even want to revisit. Yes, but I tell you what, I ended up succeeding because go figure, it didn't get into a single film festival, nothing. It was a disaster, right? Lost all the money, it was a mess. But 25 years later, I got on Impractical Jokers, and the guys put her on the show, and to date, like 8 million Americans have watched that movie.
Wow.
So who wins in the long run?
You do. When we last spoke, I asked you about, maybe a pivotal moment in your career, like a moment that like changed your life forever. And I think you had like a retrospective type of moment where you said you looked up at the marquee over at Madison Square Garden. You saw your name, and that kind of hit you right there. It's like a big moment in your life. Can you think of something in all the life events that you had leading up to the Jokers and success and stand-up and touring and all that? Was there one thing along the way that you think about, man, if that didn't happen, I might still be pitching TV shows or might be juggling somewhere? I'll
tell you an interesting one. This has nothing to do with the Jokers necessarily, but it does. So 2002, on a dare, my friend dared me to write a thriller, a novel. And I said, sure, I can write a novel. I have a degree in English from Georgetown. Let's go. I always wanted to write books. So I spent a year of my life writing my first book called Awakened. It's like a sci-fi horror. It's really, really good, right? It hit #1 on the UK Sunday Times and bestseller lists across America, Anyways, so I wrote the book, but back then I wasn't on TV, couldn't get anybody to read it. And it sat on my computer for 20 years, right? 20 years later, we got on Impractical Jokers. It's a success. I sent the same book into HarperCollins. Not a word changed. They bought the trilogy. It hit #1 on all these bestseller lists, and it launched my literary career. And that first weekend of the book launch for the very first book, Awakened, I threw a giant launch event in New York City. Fans came out. The public came out to see the book launch. And they had an after party. And at that after party, I met my wife, who's my wife, Melissa, I'm still married to now. And if I hadn't wrote that book on a dare 20 at this point 24 years ago, never knowing the future would be Impractical Jokers and so on and so forth, and become an author as well. I never would have met my wife. I never would have had that car I bought. I never would have had my puppies or my life right now. And that's tells you, talk about a decision you make so long ago that dramatically affects your life.
Yeah, I was not expecting to hear, but was an awesome story and exactly what I was talking about. That was great.
Celebrity Jobber. The Celebrity Jobber podcast with Jeff Zito.
I had no idea you were an author. Fiction. He's got all these different books. I've been at jamesmurrayofficial.com. I had no idea that, I was just kind of peeping around. Look, like I said, I wanted to buy the Christmas sweatshirt. And I saw all these books. And this has been a passion of yours for a long time. You just get these stories in your head. Or what? Like, how does that start from Once Upon a Time? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like everything, it's this too many ideas, not enough time in life, right? And that the human condition. But it's just this may sound nuts, but I dream movies and books. So almost every night, and I'll wake up in the morning and I'll write down the whole idea. Something pops in my head, and I'll dream the entire thing. I'll dream the hook or dream the characters or the plot. It happens every single night. And it's just too many ideas. It's too much in my head. Not enough time to execute. But
you're like the Rolling Stones, bro. They wrote Satisfaction in a dream. Like Keith Richards woke up in a dream and had a tape recorder and hummed Satisfaction. I find that incredibly fascinating. I
will do this on stage one day. So I'm in Naples this weekend, or I got 5 shows at the Off the Hook Comedy Club. One day I will incorporate this into my live show, because I have on my phone right now hundreds of recordings at 3 a.m. because I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm dreaming an idea, and I hit my record button on the phone, and I've got hundreds of recordings that are absolutely nuts because I'm half asleep. So I sound like I'm drunk, and I've got that sleepy voice, and it's me with the most crazy ideas imaginable. I have all these hundreds of recordings. They're all hysterical when you listen to them the next day because they kind of make sense, but they don't, and they're all over the place, and the titles of the dreams are absolutely crazy. If I can pull it up real quick, I'll read you some of the titles. Let me look at my voice memos. They're nuts, man. They're nuts. And I don't remember what they are, of course, the next day. Spider-Man Thanksgiving, I'm a Painter dream. Bon Jovi F Word by the DJ dream. Best Marinade of Our Lives dream. They're crazy stuff, man. FBI panic floor cute girl me naked alien dream.
Oh my God.
College professor Chicago drug dealer SIM card dream. Asteroid destroys Europe dream. Dream of Georgetown and Verizon Fios. Safe deposit box and cheese dream. They're crazy. They're crazy.
I want to see the movie that you're going to make about the college professor drug dealer dream. That sounds like something right up my alley. This
one's interesting. I'm Hannibal Lecter dream.
Man, let me tell you something. You're very fascinating, man. It seems like you're the brains behind the operation. Anyway, I want to plug the dates again. Off the Hook Comedy Club in Naples. Go see Murr, James Murray. Great club too, by the way. It's one of my favorite places. I love Captain Brian. The Off the Hook Comedy Club in Naples. Not to mention for all of Murr's tour dates, you can go to jamesmurrayofficial.com. And I tell you what, man, I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate you giving me so much of it today. But just so you know, it's probably not the biggest waste of your time today. The Celebrity Jobber podcast, number 5 on Apple Podcast music interviews chart today in the United States. You have any musical ability at all whatsoever?
I can listen to music like the best of them. Yes.
Okay. There you go. There's the tie-in. Anyway, James Murray from the Impractical Jokers. So great talking to you. Thank you so much for all your time and all your great stories. That was great.
Thanks for having me. And you can get your tickets for this weekend at murrlive.com. That'll take you right there.
MURRLIVE.com. Murrlive.com. such a regular guy, right? Like, amazing storyteller. I love how he gets excited. You know, he's like an excitable kind of guy. Seems like just like a regular guy who got famous with a funny concept and a funny show and never lost, you know, who he was. So interesting to me talking about his dad. And I can really appreciate how personal he got with this whole story. You know, his dad passed away a few years from Alzheimer's, and I guess he also lost his mother to Alzheimer's as well. But he said, you know, when he was young, when Murr was young, him and his dad were into model trains. And when his dad was older and he was, you know, suffering from Alzheimer's, he said he would either put a Frank Sinatra record on or give him a model train magazine or put on the movie The Naked Gun. And he said instantly his dad would come back to life. You know, a lot like that movie Awakenings. Do you remember that? With Robert De Niro kind of reminded me of that. But I thought that was a really, really cool story. He said his dad was the funniest guy in the family. Whenever there was a backyard party in Staten Island when he was growing up, he said all of his girlfriends would gather around his old man who was making margaritas at the bar and telling jokes and telling stories. And he said his dad was a clown. Really, really funny guy who I'm sure inspired Murr, who always wanted to make people laugh. He said from the time he was a little kid, and that's what made him get into show business. He pitched TV shows. That's what his job was before Impractical Jokers took off. His very first job, as we talked about prior in the last episode I did with Murr and Q together, Murr said he worked at Party City with Joe Gatto and then famously got fired for dumping a bunch of red Solo cups on a woman who was shopping in the aisle next to him. All the other jobs that he mentioned, being a juggler and lying to NBC, saying that he knew everything about websites, HTML, the whole nine, had no idea, had to go to a bookstore and figure out how to do coding. And I guess Joe Gatto knew how to do some coding as well and would send him the code in an email and Murr would copy and paste it. So he lied his way into a job, which I thought was hilarious because I did the exact same thing maybe about 15 years ago. The guy that ran the radio station's like, hey, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? You want to be the program director? I was like, yeah, sure. I know how to do that. Had no idea. Lied. Got the job. Ended up figuring it out. And Murr ended up figuring out the job, which lasted for 3 years with NBC. JamesMurrayOfficial.com has all of his books, his tour dates. He's got some merch. Really, really fun guy. Definitely check him out when he's touring around the country. And thank you so much for checking out another episode of the Celebrity Jobber Podcast. We're streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe. We'd love a 5-star rating, and please leave a review. If you want to check out past guests and episodes, you can do so online at celebrityjobber.com. Before fame, these people were just regular, everyday 9-to-5ers like you and me. And then boom, it happens, and as they say, the rest is history. Fascinating stuff, right? Coming up next week on the Celebrity Jobber Podcast, former teen heartthrob Sean Cassidy. It's going to be a good one. So thanks again for listening, and until next week, I'll see you then. I'm Jeff Zito.